Hey everybody, Brett from AstartesGaming here, back with another episode of our RimWorld Star Wars Let's Play. So, we have a wedding going on at the moment. Heth and May are finally tying the knot. So, everybody's met up in the main, I don't even know what to call this. The sort of lounge area to have the wedding ceremony, since we don't have anywhere, more official to do it. We've got a couple new names as well. Kamba is now Chimera. Based on one of the suggestions from you guys in the comments, and then Wally is now Keel, or Lethan Keel, but we'll just call him Keel for short, based on another suggestion. So everybody that needed a name has got one, at least for the time being, but we have more potential recruits in our little prison area that will eventually, need names as well if they ever join us. I have also been laying down some plans. So I think the newest little bit is we've got the prison area sort of worked out here. This big square in the center is going to be the giant quarry that I'm going to lay down and have the prisoners work. I might have some, other production facilities in here that they can operate. And then these are all the little cells with the thing in the middle being where the bed will be. Or it may not even be a bed, it might just be a sleeping spot. And I probably won't even bother with walls here. I may just carve the rooms out of stone and leave the rough stone walls up rather than, going back, carving everything into blocks, and it just seems like a lot of work. So it'll be pretty rough, but it'll be functional. And then over here, I've decided to kind of rein in my plans a little bit. So I eventually wanted to turn this into a full cafeteria area, and I realized it just wasn't enough space. So this is going to be a freezer, and I'm going to get rid of this little block and turn this into a vent. So rather than having to produce cold air with a cooler or whatever, we're literally just going to vent in outside air into here. And I had thought about maybe doubling up the walls and doors just to better insulate the rest of the base against this, but I think it'll be okay. I'm not too worried about it. And let's see, so this will be like a little kitchen area. We're gonna have two cooking stations with little fridges next to it to store food, just for easier access, so they can take like 2 stacks out of here, lay them in these so that they can go back and forth shorter distances rather than having to constantly go between these two. Even though that's not very far, it just, saves a little bit of time. And then, instead of moving where people are going to be dining, I'm just going to add more chairs around this center table, or maybe move it over. If only that would pan. There we go. Maybe move it over and add a second one here. We'll do chairs along the top and bottom, and then I'll just add more fridges to the sides with the actual cooked meals. That way, when they walk up to grab one, they'll be right next to somewhere to sit down and eat. And then you may notice I have some chandeliers laid out here. I've decided to go away from these in this room because I want to add, joy objects and stuff along the walls. Either, reading tables or chess tables, or just things for them to do, keep them busy, keep them happy. And these prevent me from building on the walls. So I think I'm going to get rid of them in here, and we'll just have those along the narrow hallways. I think that's where they make the most sense. In bedrooms, I don't really like them. In big rooms like this, I don't like them. It just, they limit what I can do along the walls too much, so not going to have them in here. What else? We are, let's see, what are we researching at the moment? Component assembly, that's good. We're going to need to be able to make our own components. We still have plenty of compacted machinery around, but now we won't have to worry about, going and mining really obscure nodes of it. We can just start producing our own. And then we have the technology now to build blasters and stormtrooper armor. So it's really just a matter of getting the rooms dug out that I want to turn into our production areas. And then we'll start, cranking that stuff out, and maybe even producing extra to sell. But at least enough to completely outfit all of our people with. So let's get the clock rolling, and we'll see how this ceremony goes. Is that water? I never even noticed that before. There's like shallow water right in the middle of our... Huh. Okay, they've married. Fantastic. Everybody's going to celebrate. These two will be very, very happy for a while. Yeah, still in the honeymoon phase. Let's see. Had to rebuff Landoa. Oh. It's interesting that he feels bad about having to do it. Did we just lose power or what happened? Yeah, I think, no, we didn't lose power. It just got dark out. And it says we're low on food, but I don't think we are. All this rice is like ready. Yeah, it's actually ready to harvest right now, and I think a lot of this is very close. Another thing I was considering is, let's slow things down a bit while people start working and eating and whatnot. When we start transitioning this stuff out of here, I'm going to take a 9x9 area of this and turn this into another hydroponics room. And then this can remain a storage area. We'll just kind of wall this off separately. And we'll have to make a new walkway into there, but that's not that big a deal. It's just, I want more hydroponics rooms. I want to keep them together. I don't want to scatter them all over the base. Just because we are going to need to scale our food production as we, you know, take on more and more people. So we're going to need to obviously have more than just a single room full of rice going. A good indication of that is, if you're watching this series, you might be watching my Warhammer 40k series. That one's moving much quicker because we're not building into a mountain, we're building out in the open. And so I don't need to mine out bedrooms. I can just, you know, lay them out in the open ground and then floor them. It's a lot easier, or at least things happen a lot quicker that way. Oh, we have so much steel over here. So, things are moving a little bit faster in that one. I have a lot more characters that have joined us, or colonists that have joined us in that one as well. And I think we're up to 12 at the moment, whereas here we're at 8. And with that one, we need 2 full hydroponics rooms full of rice to feed everybody, and then I think there's a little bit of overlap into a 3rd room even. But we have more prisoners in that one as well, so more mouths to feed in general, but that's something we definitely need to start looking forward to. Plasteel, on the other hand, we've got covered, so that's nice. May, she didn't get much research done today because obviously she was getting married, so that's fine. But we're going to want to get this room finalized pretty quickly here. I am going to move, or I queued up already, the movement of this bed, our one medical bed, into this area, because this is the medical bay. But that's only temporary. Again, I do want the actual medical beds in here. I don't recall... Yeah, we haven't done that yet. That's something we should probably do next, maybe? I don't know if there's anything more pressing than that. I'll go ahead and queue this up, though. But, we want hospital beds in here. My thought was like 1, 2, 1, 2, you know, 2 on every side of these walls. And then we'll have like a vitals monitor, a gap, and then like a vitals monitor. Just so there's plenty of space in between for people to work on the patients. I don't want things too clustered. I really doubt we're going to be working on more than, you know, probably 2 or 3 people at once at the most. And so 8 beds should be more than enough. And then I've got to figure out what else I want to do with the space here. Obviously, this doesn't leave us a ton of room for production and stuff. But we're going to need to have somebody making prosthetics and things. So we could try to squeeze that in here. Or we could move it to an adjacent room, like over here perhaps. But I don't know yet, it's just a thought. Obviously it's not going to fit in this area though. And I don't want things, again, to be too cluttered. But I think we might be able to squeeze in like a 1x3 and a 1x3 right there. And with stools or something for them to sit on, that should still leave us like 2 tiles to move through, which is more than enough. So that might work. We just need to figure out what exactly we need in there, because we'll probably need whatever the most advanced like prosthetics and bionics benches are, as well as maybe a drug production bench. Because that's another thing, I don't know if I addressed it in this playthrough, but I definitely addressed it in the other one. And that is that we are capable, through a mod, of growing neutroamine, but not in the form that you use it to produce medicine. We have to process it first. And I felt like that was more balanced, because there is a mod that allows you to just grow it and turn it right into medicine, but that seemed a little bit too easy. So the one that I downloaded, we can grow it, but it has to be processed before we can turn it into medicine, and that seemed fair to me. Why do those look off-center? Maybe the table's off-center. Yeah, the table is off-center. Not a big deal. I'm not going to worry about it. But yeah, I was like, why are these chandeliers not lining up? But they're lined up with the doors, and the doors are centered. So that's all lit now. I'm going to start queuing up the deconstruction of all of these. We don't need them. And that will allow me to throw all sorts of fun stuff along the walls for them to play with and stay busy, which should keep them happy. We'll do a couple chess tables. I don't know if there's going to be room for pool tables. Let's see, what kind of joy objects do we have? Chess tables, billiards tables, how big are these? Oh, the same as that? Well, not as long, but okay. We could do the billiards table in the center, and then add some smaller dining tables maybe off to the sides. How big is a poker table? Like 2x2? Okay. I don't want to clutter this up too much because people do need to be able to, navigate through it. But I also want to give them lots of options. We don't have any books yet, but a bookshelf would be cool. Book racks. That's just a smaller bookshelf. We will have shooting ranges and training areas, but not in here. I don't want them firing weapons in this area. Dartboard could be a possibility. That's just going to be a bit awkward to place. And then let's see if we have reading tables as well. That might be better for a bedroom. We'll see. But yeah, we want to give them plenty of stuff to do in here. Also, I added the genetics, the RimWorld genetics mod, because again, the whole purpose of this base was research into. I initially specified bionics, but the goal was to create like super soldiers for the Empire, essentially. And so bionics is one way to do that, but through that genetics mod, we can actually do testing on various animals, which is going to be a little bit difficult because we don't, see animals very often. But traders come and stuff, and we can buy animals potentially and store them inside or whatever. The point is, we can take DNA samples from animals and actually use them to give our soldiers certain enhanced abilities, depending on what animal that you've sampled the DNA from. For like Thrumbos, for example, I think you can give people super strength, or if you took a sample from like a wolf or something, it would give them, greater speed or agility or something like that. So there are a couple of different ways that we can, enhance these soldiers that we start producing. And it'd be interesting to see what is more effective, and I think that would be a good goal for our research bases to see, is staying with the organic stuff and, just using animal DNA to enhance it better, or should we go full bionics and just make like cyborg super soldiers? But we'll find out. Let's see, so temperature, vent, we want to throw a vent right there. Lynn, can you knock that out right away? Oh, actually, wrong thing. Yeah, do the vent first. But do it quickly because you're about to vent the entire base. And that is not going to be pleasant for anybody inside of it for a while. Everybody should be fairly tolerant to temperature, though. And it's actually not... We picked a pretty good time to do it because -5 is pretty mild. We're used to like -50, -40. Is Ox doing it? Oh, he's building the power conduit. Alright, well, Lynn will get to it. As long as somebody does, we don't want to leave that wide open. And then we can close the vent as soon as it's done. And then once this is finished, nope. Let's see, can you go back and do that real quick? Just shut it. Perfect. So, that should stabilize. Oh man, it got cold in here awfully quick, didn't it? It should recover though. And then we'll get this walled off and we can open that back up. If we need to, I will double up the walls, but I don't think that'll be necessary. Okay, let's slow things down a bit. I always have a hard time tracking people when we're at like 2 times speed. Let's make that a medical bed. I really wish that Tony would join us. She is not very difficult to recruit. 78%. We've definitely recruited, you know, more difficult prisoners than that. And she has a lot of friends here as well. She's got 4 friends at this point. You'd think she would join already. She's still rejected though. 8.4%. So that's not terrible. We've gotten people with 2% chance, so I guess we just have to stay patient. I don't know about the other 2 though. At like 99, that's going to be pretty difficult. Yeah, we might have to work and recruit. They might be here for a while. We might, you know, have to move them over to here. May is doing pretty good on that research. This is closed. Okay, good. So is the temperature? It is recovering. That is fantastic. Looks like Kenta is working on the conduits in here so that we can power everything. I'm debating whether I want to do these 2x1 fridges or if I want to do 2 1x1 fridges, because the only difference really is that I would be able to... They're effectively like, you know, a freezer that you would build. They're essentially that, but in its own confined space. And so they have their own storage. We haven't built one in this playthrough, I don't think. But they have their own storage tab like this, where you can define priority and what should be in there and what shouldn't. So if I leave them as 2x1s, then I can only set that for the entire thing. Whereas if they're 2 individual 1x1s, I can set different settings for each one. And that might be useful later if we're able to get a decent supply of meat, because then I put an auto door here, by the way. My assumption was that, you know, if they're able to move through here quicker, we'll get less of the cold air leaking out. But anyways, later on, if we're able to get a decent supply of meat, I could potentially have one side for, you know, plant matter, one side for animal matter, and that way if we're cooking fine meals, they have both things that they need right next to them. I don't know if that'll ever come, because obviously we don't have really any way to get animals out here, other than if people bring them, we can buy them. But I don't know where we would even keep them. So animal husbandry, not really a thing that's going to work that well for us at the moment. But it's something to consider down the line. So I guess if that ever comes, I can just, you know, move these somewhere else and replace them with 1x1s. And for now, I'll just do these because it is easier. I only have to set them once. We are producing a lot of smoke leaf joints. I'm going to continue to forbid them. I don't want people just smoking them for no reason. But I will administer them as medicine when necessary, and then use them for trading goods as well. Eventually, again, I would like to set up a visitors area with stuff that, you know, like shelves of things that people can buy when they come visit us. And smoke leaf joints could be one of those, but also I'd like to start producing medicine, maybe a little bit more advanced drugs, as well as bionics and things like that. Once we are able to start producing them on a little bit larger scale, as well as producing them at a higher quality. By the way, I'm knocking this wall out because I meant to put the nutrient paste dispenser here. This is part of why I decided to make this the kitchen, is that any food that they grab, they can come over here and we'll have a hopper that they can just dump into, and then this will stick out into the prison so they can grab their own food. And we don't care if they're eating the good stuff or not. We just want to make sure they get fed. Looks like everybody's heading to bed. Are you guys still upset about having to share bedrooms? Yeah. I mean, it's -3 is not terrible. No guest beds. I'm gonna send them away for right now. And I'm curious, is there anywhere that we could set up a temporary guest area? I don't really think so. Everything is, unless we've actively turned it into a living space, it's too cold. This is probably the only exception, and this would be absolutely ugly. But you know what? Hold on. What resource do we have the most of? I would say probably marble. Let's just throw down some marble beds. Marble blocks, yeah. So let's just drop a few, like so. I'll put one there and one here. And that might not be enough, but it's better than nothing. So we'll make sure those get built. We'll designate them for guests, and when they come back, we'll allow them to come in. If they are willing to buy some of this junk, I will sell them virtually all of the dead man's clothes we have, or all of the dead man's clothes we have. There is some clothing that is not dead man's clothes that I might consider keeping just as extras. Heth was actually wearing this initially, and he decided to take it off, but I'll keep that for any other force sensitives we come by. Things like this, I'll probably hang on to as well, because you never know. We've rescued people and they were naked and they didn't have anything to wear. My hope is that eventually we'll have enough extra uniforms and armor and stuff where it won't matter, but until we get to that point, it's nice to have, backups laying around. Alright, so Keel is getting right to work on those beds. Fantastic. We'll make sure to designate them right away, because I don't want to forget about it and then, oh shoot, I don't have any guest beds. Not that it takes very long to designate them, but still. So we have a butcher's table up here. I think I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this one. Caravan request. Let's see. Diplomat City wants me to bring them 97 plasteel. In return, they offer an infinite chem reactor. I honestly don't know what that is. That doesn't sound vanilla, but it might be. Let me Google it, see if it comes up on the wiki, and that might be worth doing, although I'm very reluctant to do any sort of caravan at this point. Okay, so apparently it is a vanilla item, a bit of a rare one, but one that you can obtain through quests, and essentially what it does is it is like a machine that you power with electricity, and it generates chem fuel. I don't really have any use for that. It could be handy just to like have chem fuel as a backup, but I have not really bothered making anything that relies on chem fuel because I don't have access to wood. So I'm pretty reliant on electricity, and that would just be one more thing draining my electricity. So I don't really see the point. It doesn't seem worth it to me. If they came here and offered me that deal, I might consider it. But the fact that I have to go to them and risk, losing my people along the journey, it just doesn't seem worth it. So we're not going to bother. Plus, plasteel, I mean, generally it's pretty rare. We seem to have hit the mother lode with it, but it doesn't mean I'm going to waste it. I will still use it sparingly, but we do have quite a bit, as you can see. Like 3. Why did they separate these? That is a perfect stack right there. So dumb. But anyways, we've got 3 full stacks right there, plus a bunch more yet to be dug out. So yeah, let's go ahead and mark that for guest. And again, my plan down the line is to turn this into a very grand entryway with like statues and all sorts of cool decorations and whatnot, and then have that lead into a visitors area here with stuff for them to do, comfortable places for them to sleep, a lot more statues and whatnot for them to look at, just to completely wow them with their visits so they come back often. And then we'll have storage area there as well, with a lot of shelves for things that they can buy. So commodities that we're producing will go there. But you know, that's a ways away. We're still trying to get our basic production facilities built, because it just takes us so long to dig out these rooms. We can't just build them. We have to literally hollow them out of the mountain, and it takes time. Are we getting meals produced? Chimera's cooking away. I just don't know where they're ending up. You just dropping them on the floor. That's something I forgot to do in this playthrough. I did it in the 40k playthrough, but just drop the meals on the floor when you're done. You don't need to carry them anywhere. Just drop them wherever. They are technically in a stockpile anyways. And you know what? That probably shouldn't be there. Let's see. Zone area. Let's delete that. We'll get that moved out of the way. And I think he'll cook a little bit faster not having to balance on a stack of uranium. Maybe. I feel like I would, but, you know, to each their own, I guess. There's a bit more steel there. I think we'll get it after we take all that marble. Not that we need it. There's more steel up there. I guess I could queue that up. We just want to make sure we're always harvesting steel. Oh, good. Component assembly's done. Let's see. So we already queued up hospital beds. That's fine. I would like to do item repair as well, but that's not, you know, an immediate concern. What else do we have? Here's some of the genetic stuff. So basic prosthetics goes into genetic engineering, which gives us a gene recombinator, a recycler, a pulper, a gene pod, and a genetic extraction table. So I guess that's what we need to, you know, take DNA samples and whatnot. And then here we have the genome research. This one says insectoid, but one of those said wolf. No? Let's see. Research ways to extract genetic material from alien insectoid species. What do we have in advanced? See, they're like, they have slashes, so Thrumbo Bear. I know with this mod you can actually create animal hybrids, so maybe that's what they're referring to. Then we have animal enrichment. Research ways to improve existing animals and create better adapted versions of them. That would be interesting. So we could breed animals that are super resistant to the cold, maybe. And that would be pretty useful. What is age drugs? Accelerate the growth of your animals. Interesting. It'd be cool if we could do the opposite with our colonists and basically get them to live forever. Huh. Well, that's cool. None of that is going to be immediately useful. So we'll stick with the medicine stuff. Maybe some more production stuff like item repair. And a tissue printer would be useful as well. And then we can probably start looking at bionics, or maybe at least doing the initial genetic stuff. Maybe, I don't know that I'll bother with that until we actually have access to animals, though. It seems like a waste. Medicine production is another thing to consider as well, especially because now we can grow our own Neutropamine and we don't need to worry about buying it. So yeah, a lot of options there, but we'll stick with what I've queued up for now. Where is the bionic stuff, by the way? Everything got moved around. I don't see it in there. Maybe it's down this way. Synthetic organs, synthetic skin. There we go. Bionics workbench, advanced bionics. So we're going to need a bionics workbench as well as some sort of drug production bench, which we already have access to the drug lab. So we can actually look at laying one of those in our medical area. Now let's get that compacted machinery, and we'll get this compacted steel. Let's see. Oh, I've got all that machinery queued up as well, so they have plenty to mine. They have plenty to do. Alright, so production. Let's see. Where is that drug lab? There it is. We're going to want to make that out of... Apparently I can't do stone, which is a shame, so we'll have to do steel. And my thought is like one there, and then the other there. So I'll queue this up right here. I don't need it built right away, but it's there. And I keep forgetting. Okay, there's my crafting spot. So that's where the smoke leaf joints are being made. You're going to go build one of the electric stoves. It's fine. That is fine. We do need those up and running eventually. It looks like Ox is working on... Oh, one of the refrigerators. Or are you? You don't have any components there. What are you doing? Are you smoothing the floors? Oh, okay, you're smoothing floors. That's fine too. Heth is mining out this hallway. I actually don't need that done right now. I don't know why I queued that up. Yeah, don't worry about that right now. I guess you can dig at the plasteel. I honestly don't really need that either. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to cancel that too. We have more plasteel than we know what to do with. Go recruit Tony and then go dig us some components and steel. What are you going to build? One of the stoves? Good. Looks like Kenta is smoothing floors as well in the meantime. We have plenty of components, so I don't know what's taking them so long to get on these. I guess they just got distracted by the other orders in the area. But there's one of them. And let's see, May is starting to come along there. Once we get the sterile tiles in here, she will be able to research a little bit more quickly. Another thing I've considered doing is in the prisoner area, depending on how much space we have and who we have as a prisoner, we could potentially force prisoners to research for us as well. I wouldn't rely solely on them researching, but if they have a high intelligence skill, we can put a research bench in there and force them to use it, as far as I'm aware. So we could use it to bolster our existing research. You know, May's not doing much else anyways, unless she's treating people or operating on them, so I don't mind doing that. And the power requirement of a steel or a high-tech research bench is not that bad. It's more just the resource cost to build it, so potentially we could build another one in there. Even if we just did a simple one, it would still help us a little bit. The only real issue I can think of is, let's see, I'm gonna say nothing in there right now. I don't want anybody using it. And we'll just set target temperature for 0. I'm also going to turn it off because we're not going to use it right away. Not until we're actually using this cooking area, but again, we'll just have raw resources in there ready to go, so whoever is cooking doesn't need to travel very far to grab more stuff. Let's see. This is walled off, so I think we can open this. Oh, May just got a work frenzy, so she's going to work 2.5 times faster. And it looks like the research did jump up. Well, wow, you can actually see it moving. Awesome. Are you guys going to finish these? Like, what's the holdup? Did we run out of components? We shouldn't have. I don't see any. So we probably used up everything we had laying around here, but there, again, is compacted machinery everywhere. There's more up there as well, and then we have all these spaceship chunks that we can utilize too. There's plenty of stuff around, we just need to actually go harvest it. And I guess that's another thing I could do as well, is the component assembly bench. I could stick one of these in here and have the prisoners assembling components for us. That's, you know, something I think I could trust them with. Obviously, we're not going to want to have them producing weapons, because then they would, you know, have the end product of that, which could be a bit dangerous. So nothing like that, but if they're just making simple stuff like components that we can use to produce more advanced things, then that should be fine. Especially since they're going to be harvesting a lot of the raw resources for us through this quarry. What are you doing, man? That seems like a very inefficient path that you just took. Anyways, the quarry is going to be constantly pumping out iron and stone and things like that. And so I could put a stone cutter's table in there, component assembly bench, and just have them, you know, producing, not necessarily, well, they'll be producing the raw materials, but also the sort of next level up materials that still aren't end products, but, you know, are a little bit more refined and can make more advanced things. So stone blocks, components, and then our characters or our actual colonists can focus on building the armor, building the weapons, building the furniture, the walls, things like that. So with all this cloth we're harvesting, I am thinking that we should probably find a place for, I always forget what they're called, the tailoring bench. We'll do an electric one. I don't want to do a hand tailoring one because that's going to take a lot longer to do. But we can start producing the Imperial bodysuits out of cloth, I imagine. I don't know if there's... I mean, I know there's a benefit to doing it out of other materials. Let's see, so it gives us an extra 15 degrees of cold resistance. But what is this made out of? It doesn't even say. I wonder if it matters. I wonder if for this particular thing, if it's always going to be the same statistics no matter what you produce it out of. I guess we'll have to science that, but we'll make it as steel like we always do, and we have to find a place to put it. I would rather not throw it in like some temporary location where we're gonna have to end up tearing it down and moving it, but I don't really have anywhere for it at the moment, so that's gonna be a bit of a problem. I guess we can try to get like one of these mined out. I don't know. I have no idea. I could throw it in here, but then it's gonna work really slow because it's cold in here, and then we'd have to tear it down eventually anyways. I don't know, guys. I don't know. Didn't I mark that for deconstruction? Let's get this torn down, and maybe I'll just build it right there, and then we'll have to tear that down later as well. I hate wasting resources like that, because obviously you don't get them all back when you dismantle things. And there is finite resources on the map. Not in the game, but there's obviously only so much steel you can harvest from one map area like this. Although we're kind of cheating that with the quarry mod, because they're sort of just digging it out of the ground, which, you know, it's not actually part of the map, it's just sort of spawning it in. So let's go ahead and throw that down right there, and then I'm going to delete a zone right here for somebody to work. We'll also throw down a marble stool for them to work on, and somebody should eventually get around to that. And I think I'll go ahead and end the episode here. I'll play a little bit more off camera and see if I can get things moving a little bit quicker. Now that we're starting to be able to produce stuff, I imagine they will. We have places for traders to come. The issue is we don't seem to be getting raided a whole lot. One reason that our colony is growing so fast in the 40k playthrough is we're using a special storyteller that comes with that mod, and that storyteller likes to raid above all else. It's very like aggressive. It's supposed to be like some chaos warlord, and so they raid all the time, and we get a lot of prisoners that we can recruit from, and our colony has grown pretty substantially from that. Obviously we're getting prisoners now as well, but not nearly as quickly as we were with those. And also the prisoners that we've picked up in this playthrough have been a lot more difficult to recruit, so that's another thing as well. But more hands would definitely be helpful. We need people constantly digging and mining so that we can, you know, expand our base. And now we're going to need, you know, skilled hands to start producing products as well. So hopefully we're able to get some recruits here soon. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I had a great time playing some RimWorld with you, and I look forward to seeing you guys back here for the next episode.